There are many new Chinese brands out there, and Jaecoo is one of the newest from Chinese car giant Chery. They're also responsible for the OMODA brand, and they've now come out with this, which is Jaecoo, which aims to be more of that premium SUV. Today I'm going to look through the Jaecoo J7, tell you everything you need to know from the drive-in to the interior, exterior, and what my overall thoughts are. We're going to have a look at the plug-in hybrid model today outside, and we're going to be driving that one. Inside the showroom, they've got both the petrol models with the Deluxe, which is the base model, and the luxury model, so I can go through some of the differences between those two models as well. Let's see, have they done well enough to tackle the other brands in this game? So starting with maybe the most striking thing about the Jaecoo 7, it's probably its looks. And it's definitely highly inspired by Land Rover and Range Rover. That's because the parent company Chery has a 50% stake in Jaguar Land Rover in China. So essentially they make Land Rovers over in China. And they've definitely took a bit of inspiration. I think it's quite funny. MG have done the same. Their parent company makes Audis and Volkswagens in China, and they definitely take a few inspirations from them. And this is no different, but it actually works in its favour. It looks quite premium. They've gone for that boxier, squarer SUV look that we see from Land Rover and Jeep, for example. This big grille at the front. Jaecoo means Jaeger and cool, which means hunter and cool. But all it reminds me of is Jaecoo. You can see the radiator, but that's quite common on a lot of modern cars. You've got your plate holder as well, which we see from MG and other Chinese manufacturers. You don't have to use this. If you don't want, you can put the plate on in another way, which looks a bit more stylish than these. They're quite bulky. Jaecoo is across here. You've got your 360 camera on your luxury models, LED daytime running lights at the top, and then your LED headlights down here with your main beams at the bottom. You've also got these sort of ice cube looking little fog lights as well at the front. It does have a different vibe to it. It's more of that chunky, imposing premium look rather than that sleek look that we see from a lot of brands now. To the side of the Jaecoo 7, the Range Rover Land Rover vibe is extended. Line across there that looks very Land Rover, as do the retractable door handles. You get these 19-inch alloys with these plastic inserts for aerodynamic with red brake calipers, which doesn't really make sense, but there you go. This is the same wheel on all models, comfortable because you've got a really good chunky sidewall. You do have this nice graphic here as well on all cars too. The gloss black roof does look nice with the roof rails. These are chrome as standard. This section here is giving me a lot of Peugeot vibe. Let's take a look at the back now. Moving to the back of the car, and I know you're thinking, Sam, why did you swap the car with a Range Rover Evoque? This is where it's most Range Rover, definitely. It literally looks just like an Evoque in my opinion, and lots of people's opinion. Some people have said this looks like a Porsche. I get what they're saying, but not really. Your rear wiper is up here, so that's very like Hyundai Kia Group. They've got that, so it does have the practicality of the rear wiper, but it's nicely tucked away. And then Jaecoo is spelled out across here, which looks good. PHEV badge on the plug-in hybrid, and then Jaecoo 7 on there. It's now called the Jaecoo 7, not the Jaecoo J7, but this looks like a sleek look. These reflectors as well do look a bit like the Range Rover lights on the big Range Rovers now. Again, you've got a bit of an ugly plate holder, but you don't have to use those if you don't want. You can just stick the plate on. Rear sensors, but you do have 360 cameras on this luxury model. There's plenty of colours available on the 7. As standard, you get granite white metallic. If you want to opt for a different colour, you've got a few options. Starting at £600, you've got pearl silver, basalt black, Amazonite blue, which is this one here, greenstone, which is your olivey green colour that we saw in the showroom. So there's plenty of different colour options to choose from. If you do want the two-tone roof like this one's got here, it's a £1,200 option, which is quite expensive. You can get it in this Amazonite blue, you can get it in the greenstone, or you can get it in the pearl silver. So there's a nice choice of options there. I don't think it's worth going for the extra contrasting roof because it's so much more money, an extra £600. Because this section is gloss black on all cars, so you still have that floating roof effect, if you like, on all models, no matter which you go for. outside. I'm going to test out the plug-in hybrid model now, driving it and seeing what sort of efficiency we get. They're all the luxury model, the plug-in hybrid, to the top of the range with the 360 cameras and Sony sound system, etc. But they've all got sunroofs as standard, which is really good. So you can see the camera comes up as well, which is quite clever, that you can see everything around the vehicle. I'm going to take this up to higher speeds now because I give it a little spin before, but I didn't get up to motorway speeds, and I want to see how it performs. Very smooth acceleration. What I did notice though is that the regen isn't very strong, so even in the highest energy recuperation it just kind of coasts along. It's quite leisurely, which some people don't mind. It just means you don't have that kind of regenerative braking mode fully. And you've got no paddles either for the gears or for regen. So coming off the accelerator now, it is slowing down. Will it go to a stop? No, it doesn't go to a stop, it just crawls along. Okay, you can feel the regen a bit more at a higher speed going from 40. You can feel it regenerating a little bit more, and it tells you how much power it's recuperating, what percentage. That is good, but it's not as strong as some other systems. Even on some self-charging hybrids I've got a stronger one. This is high regen, and I wouldn't say it's high regen, I'd say it's like level 1 regen, like on an MG for example, if that puts it into perspective. It's quiet. That's good, you don't really hear the engine at all. I'm just going to go up one junction onto the motorway just so I can get up to 70 so we can see what it's like at motorway speeds. 8.5 seconds 0 to 62 on the plug-in hybrid. The petrol models aren't very impressive with their on-paper stats, with 10.3 for the two-wheel drive and 11.8 for the all-wheel drive. Under the bonnet of the petrol models, you'll find this 4-cylinder 1.6 litre turbocharged engine. So this is across the petrol range. On the plug-in hybrid, it's a 1.5 turbo petrol. This pure petrol engine pumps out 145 brake horsepower. You can have that in all-wheel drive with the luxury or the two-wheel drive on the deluxe model. They've got the 7-speed DCT dual-clutch automatic transmission as well. Of course, the miles per gallon isn't as good as what we see from other European manufacturers who have been doing it for many, many years. But if you're not doing a lot of miles per year, it's not going to make a big difference. The all-wheel drive model can claim up to around 35 miles per gallon, whereas the two-wheel drive is around 37 miles per gallon. There is other cars that do higher miles per gallon. I do like that the bonnet is on hydraulic struts. We don't see that from many manufacturers at all now, even the more premium ones. And under the bonnet of the plug-in hybrid, it's much more impressive. It's a 1.5 turbo 4-cylinder petrol, but it's got 201 brake horsepower instead of the 145 on the pure petrol models. This is a more clever system, means you're going to get much better miles per gallon efficiency. The other engines aren't really tuned for efficiency as much. In China, fuel is much cheaper than it is here in the UK, so they're not the most honed in on efficiency like European brands are, such as Volkswagen are. So it's just something to bear in mind, but a plug-in hybrid is a better option in my opinion. Its official range is 56 miles, which is quite competitive with the range and this sort of car. However, it's not quite as much as the MG HS or the Tiguan. It is more than Stellantis vehicles like the Citroen C5 Aircross. You've got plenty of torque with the car as well, and also 0 to 62 in 8.5 seconds on the plug-in hybrid is much better than the 10 plus seconds on the petrol models. So it's actually quite peppy to drive. It's not going to blow you away like some other plug-in hybrids do, but again, like I say, this is more focused on comfort rather than on sporty performance. As for charging the Jaecoo, you've got an 18.7 kilowatt hour hybrid battery, which is quite big. It is capable of fast charging as well, so you've got AC and DC type chargers. These are a bit faffy, the covers, so it can charge up to 40 kilowatts. That's quite good. It means 20 to 80% can be done in around 20 minutes at a fast charger. Quite impressive. And then on a normal wall box at home, take around 3 hours, so not too bad at all. You can do it overnight on a 3-pin plug as well, so you don't need a home charger for a plug-in, so that's quite good. But it is nice that you've got the fast charging capability. Some plug-in hybrids still don't have the double fast charger port, such as Mazda and also Honda. So this is quite good. It's quite up to date with the charging infrastructure and how fast it charges. Also, this never depletes, so it keeps a little bit of energy and charges itself as a self-charging hybrid when it runs down. So it's very like the Honda CR-V in that way. So that's excellent. You still get a little bit of benefit of hybrid even when it's run down. And going up to 70, I can't even hear the engine. That's actually really good. Oh, I can hear it now, whirring a bit. But it's not too bad. You get quite a lot of wind noise from the mirrors, but road noise isn't too bad. It's got the nip just to pull out of junctions and things like that, so that's good. The grip has been fine, but we're on a dry day, so that's probably why. I did find in the OMODA E5, the grip could be a bit lacking. I think a lot of it is to do with the tyres. They are come-home budget tyres that they fit to these vehicles. Of course, you could put some more expensive tyres on yourself, but they do these things to keep the costs down of the vehicle. Obviously, a come-home tyre is going to be much cheaper than a Michelin or a Bridgestone tyre, for example. The brakes are good as well. They don't feel disconnected from the car, which some hybrids do. And yeah, it just accelerates fine. The lane assist, to turn that off each time. I get that that's European regulation, but this is very strong on this car. It was grabbing the wheel then, but you can turn that off and then it's not telling me off at all, which is much better. Most cars not as strong as that. For example, on Hondas, they'll give you a little tiny nudge. It's not a sporty car to go around the corners with. They're more focused on it being comfortable rather than being sporty. There's plenty of SUVs now with very low profile tyres that are really good and good fun actually to drive, such as the Ford Kuga. That is definitely a good alternative. Some other good options are the Volkswagen Tiguan if you also want that sportier edge than this. Not that those are sports cars, the Kuga and the Tiguan, but this is more of a comfort vehicle and those are more of a sporty vibe. Plug-in hybrid returns 60 miles per gallon. That's not too bad at all. It does the job quite well, especially just for going around town. You can be an EV a lot of the time. The driving aspect's good. In terms of what the petrol will drive like, I'm sure it won't be as good as this. I did drive the petrol OMODA 5. I've not reviewed it, but I drove that car. Automatic was quite smooth, but I didn't find it as good as hybrid vehicles or as the electric OMODA 5. This, very impressed with the plug-in hybrid system. Drives nice and smoothly actually, and there's a lot of consistency with how it drives in each mode, so I really like that. And what about the interior of the Jaecoo 7? Well, it does feel very Land Rover, even more so maybe than the outside, with these very square-shaped vents, etc. It's very chunky feeling. The steering wheel is the same as in the OMODA with these gloss black buttons, which means it's easy to clean, but obviously people don't like them as much, but they are proper press ones. They're not ones that are touch sensitive that you can accidentally press like on earlier Volkswagen models. This is the 14.8-inch screen you get on the luxury model. On the standard deluxe petrol model, you get a 13.2-inch screen, which I think is sufficient enough. It is good. It's pretty much central. It might be facing a tiny bit away from the driver, but it's not noticeable. I think it's pretty much bang in the middle. You've got a 50-watt wireless charger as well, cup holders, everything's laid out nicely. It's very comfortable, as I say. This has got a heated steering wheel as well, a heads-up display on this one. So there's plenty of features on it. We've also got your Sony 8-speaker sound system, which is really good. The sunroof is a nice feature, especially the fact that all cars have got it. And you can see the sunroof is not just one for show, you can actually open it as well. Wow, most sunroofs don't go back that far on an SUV or on any car. They normally stop about here. Now this is massive. The whole front section has got the roof off. It does give you that convertible feel that. I'm very impressed with that. We've also got the controls for the passenger seat, so I can just move their seat at the side, which is quite funny. Unfortunately though, the passenger seat doesn't have any height adjustment, so they can just go forward or backwards. Inside it's really good, and I'll show you now what the deluxe standard model looks like inside. So inside the deluxe model, this is the standard version of the Jaecoo. It does still feel premium. You've got electric seats, which is nice. 7-speed DCT. It's got this strange kind of claw kind of looking thing that is different. It's on a column on the plug-in hybrid. You've got your driver driver modes on this wheel here as well, and then you've got the slightly smaller screen, and you still have the sunroof, so it's got plenty of equipment even on this standard model. The OMODA 5 got a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, so we can expect the Jaecoo to get the same as well, hopefully, when it gets tested later this year. And these like rivet looking things, which are very Land Rover Defender-esque, aren't they? Now let's move on to boot space and practicality. This is the standard petrol deluxe model, which means it's front wheel drive. That obviously gives you a little bit more boot space. It's got the biggest boot in the range, 500 litres, which is quite competitive. This load cover is quite low as well. Most cars will have it up here, so that obviously take a few litres away if you like, because they only measure up to the cover. But in terms of actual space, it is very competitive to what you get from other brands, so that's not a problem at all. Also, you'll notice you get a spare wheel, which isn't something you see from many new cars anymore. Got the electric tailgate, even on the standard model. That's great. And I can see you've also got the warning triangle in the boot lid like you do in an Audi. Moving on to the boot space on the luxury model. Obviously it's all-wheel drive, so it does eat into the space a little bit. You've got a little bit less space than you do in the front-wheel drive model. So this offers 424 litres. It gives you 12 more litres than in the plug-in hybrid. The load cover is lower, so that's why they measure the litres up to here. So that's why it sounds small compared to competitors. But in terms of actual space you get, it's very similar to what you'd expect from this class of car. It doesn't look small. Again, you've got the spare wheel. Of course, obviously this makes the car heavier. 412 litres in the plug-in hybrid boot space isn't massive, so it is pretty much the smallest in its class in terms of litres. If the parcel shelf went up to here, it would give a lot more litres of space, so I don't know why they didn't do that, to be honest. If you do want a bigger boot, the Tiguan PHEV does have a little bit more space, as does the Sportage, but I think it should be big enough for most people. Under here, you've got a bit of a polystyrene tray, and under there you've got your 12-volt battery, car battery. So in the back of the Jaecoo, what is it like? Well, it's very comfortable in the back of here. It doesn't have heated rear seats, which you do get on some other Chinese manufacturers, but it's not too bad at all. You got a rear armrest here with some cup holders, and you can recline the seats, so you can have them more like this, or you can have them more upright like so. Middle seat, how is that? The floor's completely flat as well, by the way, in this plug-in, so that's excellent. Middle seat, okay, the base is comfortable, the back is quite firm, as we see in a lot of cars. It's not the comfiest, but I have sat in worse. Does look very premium. The headrests are nice and comfortable as well. They're really quite cushiony, actually. You've also got a USB-C and a USB-A in the back of here to keep everything charged. Quite comfortable in the back. I've got quite a lot of leg room, loads of headroom, and the sunroof goes all the way back. Pricing for the Jaecoo 7 starts at $29,435. That's for the deluxe model 2-wheel drive, and then it goes up to just under £33,000 for the all-wheel drive luxury models, and then on your plug-in hybrid it starts at £35,065, which of course is a lot of money, but it's very competitive in the plug-in hybrid space, and it means it fits very comfortably under the £40,000 threshold, so you don't pay the premium road tax, which is great to hear. Something that a lot of manufacturers can't manage to do is get their plug-in SUV that size under the 40k. So for example, Hyundai, their Tucson does get under the 40k, but only the base model, which doesn't have as many standard features as the Jaecoo does. So then, that was my first drive of the Jaecoo 7. What do I think? Just overall a nice, comfortable car to drive. I think it'll be popular with families due to quite a large back seat space and a big enough boot for most people. It definitely shows what's possible of these Chinese manufacturers, and I think if you're not sure, definitely go and have a look at one yourself, because I think you will be pleasantly surprised. I definitely was. It's not necessarily what you would expect it to be like. It just feels very solid and comfortable inside. Also, with things like the 7-year warranty, etc., that all adds to its appeal. Definitely something to consider. Thank you for watching this video, and a huge thank you to Pi Motors, OMODA and Jaecoo in Morecambe. I'll put all their links in the description down below. They're based at the Ford dealership, so you can check them out there. And also thank you to Martin, the sales manager, for making the video possible. Make sure to subscribe for more new car reviews and car content, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.